news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
A pleasant good afternoon to you, and welcome to your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. It is February 3rd, 2021. I am Joshua Van Slegman. Before I get to the stories we're tracking this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, let me bring to you a front page comment that is titled, "Our Leadership is Blind on Exxon's Escalating Cost." Our leaders have made many costly past mistakes with our oil. Instead of learning from those mistakes and working tirelessly to correct them, our leaders continue to walk the same wrecked path. The coalition leaders had approved a provision which said that Guyana would accept a measly 2% take for all the oil to be produced in the Stabroek Block. Several world-class experts advised them to increase this to 10 or 12%, but the coalition ignored this advice. The PPP is doing same. PPP leaders had the opportunity to wield a menacing sword over Exxon's head and squeeze the company where it hurts when the companies desperately needed approval for the Payara project, the third to be developed on the Stabroek Block. But it let the opportunity slip through its fingers. It refused to use other opportunities when granting permits and approving other projects as a bargaining chip for better contract terms for Guyanese. Our leaders had Exxon bent over their laps and did absolutely nothing to benefit Guyana handsomely. The reserve occurred with Exxon dropping the cash hammer on us through increasing costs. Liza 1 started at $3.5 billion US. Liza 2 went to $6 billion US, that is 70% more. And the Payara expenses currently are estimated at $9 billion US, over 250% of Liza 1 expenses, and 50% of Liza 2. The oil companies are having a feast while thinking of Guyanese as dumb and foolish. As our leaders refuse to claw back value, do an independent review of our resources, provide the studies on the gas to shore project to be landed at Wales, leave key projects within comprehensive of full insurance, among other things. We are left vulnerable to massive scales of abuse. Our leaders need to stop being so blind, dumb, and foolish. If they don't act differently, all of Guyana will be doomed with our resources. And now, for the top stories we're tracking this afternoon. 135 investors launched Coalition United for Responsible Exxon, and meanwhile Exxon pays $5.6 billion US in 2020 in income taxes globally. Guyana gets nothing. New EPA head looks to enforce provisions in Liza 1 permits to resolve flaring. Do not funnel tax dollars into illegitimate media houses, according to the GPA president. Meanwhile, High Court dismisses $242 million breach of contract lawsuit against government. Teen remanded for trying to murder parents. And a cop charged for robbing sleeping man. And doctor charged for hosting wedding. Get the details of these stories and much more when the news returns.
This morning, I woke up a millionaire. A digital millionaire. Money here, money there, money everywhere. I'm a digital millionaire. It's our 14th anniversary, and for the next 14 days, we're gonna make one lucky customer a digital millionaire every day. To enter the draw, just purchase any digital Prime bundle or top up with $1,400 or more for a chance to be a millionaire. Plus, every day, 100 lucky customers will receive $1,400 free credit. Buy a Prime bundle or top up now to enter. Digicel, better together.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Now for the news in details. A group of 135 investors formally cemented their intention to bring massive changes to ExxonMobil's by launching yesterday the Coalition United for Responsible Exxon, CURE. It is understood that CURE represents a broad spectrum of stakeholders who are focused on sustainability and delivering long-term returns that accounts for the realities of a changing energy sector. As of today, CURE's over 135 members collectively represents over $2.2 trillion in assets. CURE raised urgent concerns about Exxon's current direction, which it said is premised on outdated assumptions about high oil prices, demand, and margins that are incompatible with the reality of climate change and the inevitable transition to renewable energy sources. Meanwhile, ExxonMobil paid $5.6 billion in income taxes last year, accounting for its global operations. This was revealed during its 2020 Q4 earnings calls yesterday. Exxon's 2020 income tax expense amount to nearly 4 times Guyana's 2020 budget. But Guyana received nothing from ExxonMobil, its partners, affiliates, and subcontractors in income taxes. This is because former Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman negotiated a contract for Stabroek Block operations, which granted them a permanent tax waiver of all taxes. Similarly, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of Hess, John Riley, revealed that its exploration and production income taxes expenses to amount to $80 to $90 million in 2021. Guyana will get nothing. Moving on to the EPA. With aims of resolving the flaring that is currently ongoing offshore Guyana by the ExxonMobil, newly appointed EPA Director Sharifa Razak is looking to enforce provisions in the LISA 1 environmental permit in future developments. The provision Razak was referring to is Article 3.13 in the LISA 1 environmental permit, which makes it explicitly clear that Exxon must have a spare equipment available to cater for any sudden malfunctions. However, the provision is ambiguous and it does not definitively state that the oil company, quote-unquote, must have spare equipment on hand. You're listening to us right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. More news after the break. Stay with us.
Join Glenn Lal himself on The Glenn Lal Show. Tell it like it is. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 7:20 p.m. Tell it like it is.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. President of the Guyana Press Association, Nazima Ragabir, was keen to note during the annual presidential media brunch on Sunday last that the government should desist from expending government funds on illegitimate media houses and operatives. Further to this, she outlined that no administration must be seen to be funneling taxpayers' dollars to quote-unquote media squatters who do nothing more than diminish the quality of media and by extension undereducate and underinform the public to the long-term determinant of the holistic growth and development of society. Justice Saunders Curtius on Monday dismissed an action in which Dynamic Engineering Construction Company Limited sought in excess of $242 million in damages from the government of Guyana. The action filed by the Dynamic Engineering Construction Company Limited against the Ministry of Public Infrastructure and the Attorney General alleged that there was a breach of contract by the government in relation to a contract for the construction of the Cobarong Bridge, which was a part of the larger body of works aimed at completing the Amila Falls hydroelectricity project, which was proposed since 2009. The company was purportedly assigned the contract, but the contract was breached by the previous government in 2016 over concerns about the project's financing. And moving on, a teen was yesterday remanded after he appeared in court for 2 counts of attempt murder committed on his parents. 19-year-old Ricardo Prasad of Best Village squatting area West Coast Demerara made his first appearance in the Vredenhoek Magistrates Court before Magistrate Crystal Lambert. Prasad was not required to plead to the indictable charges that alleged that on January 30th, he attempted to murder his parents, 66-year-old Hari Prasad and 43-year-old Shamiza Prasad. The police report that the young man is allegedly in a habit of using marijuana and cocaine, and when under the influence of drugs, he became abusive towards his parents. A police constable attached to the Tactical Service Unit who was arrested for allegedly robbing a man, Leroy DeSantos, who fell asleep in his motor car last December, was on January 25th charged with larceny and simple larceny. The defendant, 25-year-old Delroy Chapman of Blueberry Hill, Linden, appeared at the Vredenhoek Magistrates Court before Magistrate Crystal Lambert, where he answered to the charges. It was alleged that he robbed DeSantos of his gold chain and his wallet containing $50,000 cash. The defendant was not required to plead to the charge and later informed the court that he's willing to compensate with the virtual complainant to a sum of $150,000. The two charges were later dismissed. And finally, at this time, a doctor was arrested yesterday for hosting a wedding in breach of the COVID-19 restrictions on social activities. The doctor, 43-year-old Ravindranath Prasad of Potentia West Bank, Demerara, has since been released from police custody and self-bail. According to the police report, the incident occurred around 12 hours 30 on Potentia Public Road. Ranks dispersed, ranks were able to control the crowd, and while doing that, a few persons reportedly used a series of explicit language towards them. One of the ranks also disconnected the laptop and other items from the DJ booth, and the equipment was lodged at the station. And just before I put a wrap on your main newscast, let me bring you today's page 7 of the Kaieteur News that is dedicated to being blunt. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony wants the public to be more serious about the COVID-19. Meanwhile, he continues to relax the very guidelines he's calling on the public to strictly adhere to. Make it make sense. That is the blunt. That is page 7 of the Kaieteur News. Today, Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. And with that, we've come to the end of your main newscast package for today, the 3rd of February, 2021. You can join us at 60 minutes as we continue all the way to 19 hours to bring you news in capsule, and at 19 hours for your third and final major newscast for the day. I am Joshua Van Sleckman. Thank you for joining us. Let's remind you that you can get the full you can get the full details of these stories and much more by picking up the copy of the Kaieteur News at a newsstand near you, or feel free to head across to our website at kaieteurnewsonline.com. Have a great remainder of your Wednesday afternoon, encouraging you to practice social distancing, wear your face mask, and practice good hand hygiene.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the